Hey, Team Tolerator, and welcome to the Misogyny Meltdown. This here is the only show you'll find putting a comedic twist on, all the ways misogyny tries to fool us into believing men have been doing a stand-up job running things.
Only 11 days into the month, and you're already like, not a one person has been funny.
Not one person has been funny. Come at me. Must be something about the climate dying while my taxes fund a war, while I'm also subjected to the redemption arc of Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules that just really knocks the wind out of making jokes about Grey's Anatomy being renewed until 2050.
Everything a woman does is labeled as crazy. Any thought or feeling you have is almost immediately labeled by someone as crazy.
Listen, if wearing a fur jacket while singing a power ballad with your bros about your feelings of inadequacy isn't masculinity, I don't want it. My number one tool in my toolbox against gaslighting is that you have to have at least one friend who doesn't date men, who has a clear head, and is not stigmatized. If it keeps getting hotter, they'll make the bikini smaller, and yet men who look like feet will have louder opinions about my body. Toxic is a really tough word, Natalie. That's really harsh. What you're thinking of is men are just big goofs who are bad at calendar. Cruel Irony had bow tie lovers in Arizona screaming, "My neck, my choice," in protest. Most importantly, that playlist has to have the 10-minute version of All Too Well on it because saliva is the bodily fluid causing all these problems. Am I right, boys?
She was like, "You did so good, honey." And she looked at me and was like, "Sometimes you just gotta let him know what a good job he's done." And I was only 20.
Okay, all right. I'm officially sick of looking at the news. So let's talk about something way more valid. Astrology.
You don't get to stop there. If I go, "Yeah, I'm drunk all the time," I know that. I'm not any closer really to recovery if I'm not actually taking steps.
I think we can put to rest using women as our scapegoat for our big whoopsies, and instead,
I think that
right, well,
I'm narcissistic enough that most songs that I'm really jamming out to, it's because I'm like, it's me. This is about me. It's my song.
I swear it tastes like AI rights. I'm gonna cheat on you because my dad used to take me on his cheat-along rides. They can't fool us about our own reality if we're ready for them.
Always on the verge of a meltdown. Happy to do it on camera in your presence.
That's what friends are for. And when we're married, you better tell your girls that that's dunsy for you going out because I expect dinner. My dad deserved dinner today. They're like, I'm over it. At no way could he ever lure me back.
I can't believe that we have talked this much about gaslighting and this much about Vanderpump Rules, and we haven't gotten specifically to the Katie Schwartz relationship until now, because if you consume nothing else to educate yourself about this, watching the entirety, because you got to do it all, I'm sorry, of Vanderpump Rules, and specifically focusing on the dynamic between those two, theses should be written, PhDs should be centered around the concept of how that is the dictionary definition of gaslighting in a relationship.
Right, because in the court of cool, they will throw out your evidence if you went hacking into people's emails, which is unfortunate because sometimes you do be like, I was right all along and I needed that win.
We're going to be studying these shows in order to better understand gaslighting. I don't have a producer in my personal life. I need you to keep it real for me.
And here's the thing, it's still feminism, and here's why. It's still feminism because we grew up as millennial women watching TV shows and reading books and seeing movies where women did that. And then they all still got married at the end of the movie or the show or the book. So Annie and I are like, no, this is part of it. This is part of it. This is how we better our relationship through the trials and tribulation. How I told my parents that I was going to start dating women was I brought Annie to my dad's wedding. Okay. My last tool is you can't if you can't feed them, join them.
I don't know that I endorse this tool now.
I know, that's why I saved it for last.
Like, I am here to be the cuckoo fun time short shorts to your buttoned up plant witch. Love that. Yes.
As always, Annie has come on my show, and much like when she told me that Stassi was still racist, she ends up being the better person. Maybe Annie should have started the feminist podcast all along.
Definitely not. Definitely not.